Good morning, everyone. This is Miss De La Torre, and at this point, we are going to investigate how science and technology shape the Philippine society throughout the course of our history. In this lecture, we're going to investigate the advances in the science and technology through this particular timeline, starting with pre-colonial period, Spanish regime, American regime, Commonwealth period, and period since independence. Excuse me for my voice, no, if it's quite hoarse as of the moment. My throat is not feeling well, but I hope my audio is still uh, audible. Okay? So, if you're going to notice as well, there are some descriptions in each timeline that serves the highlight or the major influence per period. Okay? This particular highlights are the ones that has shaped our society through science and technology advancement. Okay? So let's start first with the very first one, okay? Or the what? The first period in here stated in our timeline, the pre-colonial period. So, class, during the pre-colonial period, okay, ano nga ba pag sinabing colonial? That refers to the colonizers that gets into our country. And sino ba yung mga nangunguna dyan? We got first the Spanish, followed by the American. We also got the Japanese, even Chinese, right? Through trading. So, before the Spanish colonization, okay, the Philippines have already its culture and tradition. Okay? Actually, ito pong letter A, that shows us our culture, okay, and tradition. Itong letter B naman, it shows us that we already had our own writing system during that time. And this one, letter C, shows us the barangays or the social organization that we already have during that time. Okay? So going back with letter A, we already have our own culture and tradition during this time, and we already have our own belief system, no? It's just that during that time our belief system is still indigenous by nature. Okay? And somehow kahit indigenous po itong ating idea or yung ating culture and tradition during this time, that allowed us to be organized and to sustain our lives, especially in communities po for so many years. This particular culture and tradition, ang pinakakilalang kilala po dyan pagdating sa mga Filipinos is our practice of what? Animism. What is animism? This refers to our belief, okay, that various objects, places, or creatures, they have what we call as spiritual qualities. Okay? So, kumbaga, we worship not just technically deities, but we worship spirits. At ang tawag natin doon sa mga spirits na yon is diwata. Okay? And diwata or anito. We worship sun, we worship stones or rocks, we worship trees. So, kasi ganun nga naman ang animism. Okay? And this particular practice is known to be the earliest, okay, and the most primitive belief system that we have during this time. Kasi nga, again, we associate the world with spirits, not deities, no? We associate the world and all of the happenings within our natural environment to dewatas, not mga deities or god or goddesses. Diwata ang tawag po natin sa mga spirits na yan. So, we would solely rely on this dewatas or spirit, and we would believe, no, that anything that happens in our natural world is actually because of their doing. Halimbawa, nowadays we all know that rain is due to water cycle, but technically during this time, they believe that rain is because of the workings of Diwatas. Okay? Pwedeng, kaya tayo nagkaroon ng drought, or maybe the reason why we experience typhoon is because the Diwatas or the spirit are anger towards us. Kaya we worship, no, as much as possible, we worship these dewatas that we know. Okay, again, because of this particular belief system, the early Filipinos or the early inhabitants, they observe the natural phenomena like what I mentioned differently, no, not scientifically, but based on the workings again of their diwatas or the spirits. Oh, I think my video paused. Okay. But nonetheless, let me just continue to discuss. Okay. Now we're done with the belief system again of the early inhabitants known as animism. Let's proceed to the writing system. Okay. We all know that the very first Filipino script that we're using is baybayin. But during this time, okay, our writing system is mainly technically used for messages and letters only. Okay? Meron na po tayong concept of reading and writing. Okay? During this time. Pero this is just mainly for messaging. Okay? For sending or writing letters. According to records, there are no written literary during this period. Wala po tayong nailathalang kahit ano no nasulatin during this time. Kaya technically our writing system only exists for the purpose of messages and letters. Which in fact, kung sakaling meron po tayong literary works during this time, this or that would have helped us to have a more systematic accumulation and dissemination of knowledge. Kasi may maipapasa tayo sa future generation. But since wala nga po tayong written literary during this time, again, hindi po ganun kabilis no yung ating pag develop or pag-transfer ng knowledge from one generation to another. Okay? And actually, the transfer of information is very important, no? It is necessary for our science and technology to develop. Okay? So that's the thing because our writing system during that time is only for the purpose of messages and writing letters. There's no written literary work. Therefore, our science and technology didn't develop that much during that time. Okay? With respect to information dissemination. Next is barangay. Again, bago pa po tayo masakop ng mga Spaniards, we already have our own organization or social organization in the form of barangay. Okay? These barangays are actually geographically scattered self-sufficient autonomous communities. Ibig sabihin po, kaya na po nilang i-lead yung kanilang sarili and geographically speaking, they are scattered. Hindi po sila magkakatabi-tabi. They are scattered, distributed in different places. They are self-sufficient kasi nga meron na po silang hierarchy within their community, no? Kasi nga sabi nga natin during the prehistoric era pa lang, 'di ba? Eventually come the what do you call this one? The new stone age, 'di ba? The Neolithic period, we already developed the concept of chiefdoms or um our idea of appointing someone as our leader. So that's also present within the Philippines during this time. Okay? So again, we already have barangays during this time, the pre-colonial period, and barangays again are geographically scattered, self-sufficient, autonomous communities. Okay? And they are present all over our archipelago. Okay? Another thing to take note of po during this time is the existence of subsistence economies. Okay? Pag sinabi nating subsistence economy, this means that our economy during that time is focusing only on producing what we needed. Okay? We only like plant crops, domesticate plants or animals, okay, for our own consumption. Hindi po tayo nagpo-produce ng mga products during this time for us to sell. Instead, we produce things for our own consumption po. Okay? Except yung mga Filipinos that are already involved in trades during this time. Okay? So always remember, pag sinabing subsistence economy, this is the type of economy that is existing during the pre-colonial period. And again, the goods and the products in here are produced only for oneself or for one's family, okay? Not to be sold or to make profit. So that is or that are some of the key things about the pre-colonial period. But still, no, meron pa tayong additional. Another thing to take note of, class, is we are also able to have tools made from minerals during this time. We already have our concept of transportation. We already have our advancement in the field of agriculture and in settlements. So yung letter A po dito na picture, that refers to the tools that are mainly made up of minerals. Actually, the tools present in here are mainly simple tools po, no? We started like having simple tools made out of stone flakes, okay? Which again, it eventually developed po, okay? Sorry, excuse me. It eventually developed kasi nga we already had the ability to also develop our skills and techniques for other skills. Like, for example, sewing, drilling, and polishing hard stones. This time, we already had those capabilities. Okay. Another thing to take note of, class, is that the Philippines inhabitants during the Stone Age, they mainly form major settlements po in the Philippines in the islands of Sulu or Mindanao, such as, for example, sa Zamboanga and Davao, Negros, Samar, and in Luzon naman, it is taken note that the during the Stone Age as well, no, inhabitants are also present within the Luzon, specifically in Batangas, Laguna, Rizal, Bulacan, and Cagayan region. And about 3000 BC, okay, these inhabitants are already producing adses of ornaments. Okay, these ornaments are mainly made out of seashell, and they already have potteries of various designs as well. Okay, so gradually, the early Filipinos in here learned to make metal tools as well. Okay? So more than the stone tools and the pottery, okay, and some ornaments made out of seashell, Filipinos already have metal tools as well and implements. These metal tools and implements, they are mainly made up naman of copper, gold, bronze, and iron. Okay? So sa Philippines as well po, no, it is taken note based sa mga excavations po of Philippine graves and work sites, they are able to know that the Iron Age in the Philippines lasted from the 2nd up to the 3rd century BC and also to the 10th century AD. Bakit? Kasi nga po yung mga excavation sites and yung work sites that they have checked, it yielded iron slugs. So nakita nila na merong mga iron slugs doon, denoting na, okay, we already had the Iron Age during this particular period. Okay? Another thing is that this only shows us that Filipinos during this period are already engaged in extraction of iron from ore, smelting, and even refining. Okay? So that's for the what? For the tools that are mainly made up of minerals. When it comes to transportation, ito po yung picture dyan, yung letter B. Okay? Anong nakikita nyo dyan? Parang merong malaking boat. Actually, this boat is known as Karakoa. Okay? It's called as Karakoa. And this is actually a warship. Okay? This is a warship that is well suited for inter-island trade raids. Okay? Kasi during this time, trading is already happening. Okay? So, mainly, boats or karakoa is made for the purpose of coastal trading. Okay? And this denotes a very highly developed technology already during this time. Kasi nga, di ba, again, transportation is already improving through the use of this. And again, the main purpose is because of trading. This occurs during the 10th century AD. Okay? And again, this has been taken note of by Spanish chroniclers during this time. Okay? Um, Another additional thing po when it comes to trading is that during the 10th century AD, we are able to take note that Butuan, okay, is already trading with Champa. Champa actually is the now known as Vietnam, okay? Whereas yun naman pong mga taga Maay or mga taga Mindoro, they are trading during this time sa China na. Okay? And how can we say that that occurred? That is because Chinese records that has been translated already nowadays, okay, contain lots of references to the Philippines. Okay? This only shows us that there's been a regular trade relations between what? Between China and the Philippines that has been established during the 10th to 15th century. Okay. Now let's proceed to the agriculture. Okay, kita naman natin no when it comes to agriculture, since we are an agricultural country ever since, no, kahit pa pre-colonial period, okay, we are teeming with different agricultural products such as rice, cotton, and vegetables. We are also domesticating swine, goats, and fowls during this time as well. Okay, for settlements class, we should also take note of that Filipinos during this time settled in two areas. One is in the coastal area, and then the other one is in the mountainous areas. So, in between the coastal areas and those that settles in the mountain, okay, coastal area inhabitants are more advanced. Why? Because they are exposed to foreign trade and cultural contacts. Okay, this has been noted in the areas of Manila, Mindoro, Cebu, Southern Mindanao, and Sulu. Why? Because this particular coastal area, 'di ba, obvious naman no, mas malaki or mas marami yung contact mo with other people kapag nasa coastal areas ka in comparison with mountain settlements. Kasi kapag sa mountain, nasa looban ka eh. Usually, pag mountain nga, di ba, kailangan mo pa siyang akyatin. So, there are like quite a number of barriers, geographical barriers that kumbaga halted the transfer and the development of science and technology when it comes to comparing yung mountain settlements and yung coastal settlements. So again, mas advanced po no yung coastal areas kesa sa mountain areas natin during this time. Okay? Um kasi nga when it comes to the attainment po no of like sophisticated technology, coastal areas are more exposed, okay? They are the ones that are more engaged in agriculture. They are the ones that develop a system of writing. May concept na po sila ng weight and measurement kasi nga nakikipag-trade sila. They wore more colorful clothes and they even have their own gold jewelries during this time. The houses as well of those located or settling in coastal areas are made out of wood and bamboo. Whereas yun naman pong mga individuals staying in the mountain, they are known to be hunters or they exist to be hunters po. Okay. Another thing to take note of po is that Filipinos have different products as well as tools po no during this time. 'Di ba nga sabi ko, we are already domesticating animals, and again, we have lots of agricultural products or such as rice and all. So, we are able to make what? We're able to make wine, vinegar, and salt during this time. Okay? When it comes to domesticating animals naman po, we are able to raise swine, goats, and fowls during this time. Okay? Weaving of cloth is already evident as well during this time. And the production of beeswax, ayan, yung pong nasa letter A, beeswax yan. Yung nasa letter B naman po, that's wine. And letter C naman po, that is yung sa salt making naman po. Okay, we're again further able to grow rice, vegetables, and cotton during this time. Okay, mining of gold is already present in places such as Panay and Mindoro as well as Bicol during this time. And yung beeswax po pala class, historically po, it is being used po in creating statues. Okay? Ginagamit rin po yan for bronze preservation and even treating wounds and burns. Okay? Tapos, yung picture na nakikita natin dito ng tao, actually, that is Raha Sulaiman. Okay? And when they try to check the house po of Raha Sulaiman in Manila, they are able to check and get tools po. Okay, they found tools in his house. And mainly the tools that they are able to see in there are mainly made up of copper. Yun po yung usually yung mga table displays na nakita nila doon sa bahay. They also found out porcelain jars that are mainly made out of or that are used for food storage and other materials, and iron. Though typically, yung iron na nakita po nilang tools in here is ginagamit po for warfare. Okay? It's actually called as lantaka and woven blankets po. Okay? So what does it indicates? No, it only tells us that Filipinos living in Metro Manila during this time are already sophisticated when it comes to their tools and products po. Okay? So that ends the topic in relation to the pre-colonial era or period. Let's now proceed to the next one, the Spanish regime. Okay? Here, class, the Spanish or the Spaniards are the one that initiated the what? The development of the modern science and technology here in the Philippines. Okay? In what way? Paano nila ginawa yon? Okay? Um, they're able to establish schools, hospitals, and actually they even started the scientific research here in the Philippines. Okay? And that's the reason why our country also experience a rise in our profession, no? Pero in certain fields lang din po naman. Okay? Another thing to take note of, class, in the Spanish regime is that the direction and phase of our development of science and technology here is mainly influenced by the religious orders. Okay? Bakit? Kasi nga po, alam naman natin during this time, the highest or like the leading or yes, the leading people in the Philippines are those in the church, right? Another thing that mainly affected our um, science and technology development during this time is their ano po, their economic and trade affluences po. Okay? Kasi nga they practice lots of trading during this time. No, if you're familiar with galleon trade, yun, that's the time when we got it. So that also plays a major role in the development of science and technology here in the Philippines. Okay, so class formal education has been introduced by the Spanish regime to the Philippines, but the primary instruction during this time is Spanish. Okay, and the one who's taking care of instruction during this time are mainly the missionaries and parish priests. Okay? And saan ba sila makikita during this time? Sa mga villages and towns. Okay? So, our primary education during this time is highly religious. Okay? Tapos, yung higher education naman po natin, it is provided by schools that are also set up by what? Religious orders. Saan naman sila makikita malimit? Sa mga urban centers. Most of them in Manila. Okay? So, some examples po of higher education that has been established by Spanish are those located or found in Cebu and in Manila. So, sa Cebu, okay, Jesuits founded Colegio de San Ildefonso in 1595. Okay? In Manila naman, they founded Colegio de San Ignacio in 1595 as well. And then, Colegio de San Jose and at the same time Ateneo de Manila in 1859 naman. Okay? Dominicans, on the other hand, they established Colegio de San Juan de Letran in Manila in 1640. Okay? So, access to these schools, kahit po na-establish sila, is quite limited. Bakit? Kasi po, yung mga elite lang. If you're either European-born or local Spaniards, you're the only one who can try to get into it. Pero there are few Filipinos po, no, that can get into it. Pero yun yung mga sinasabi nating or tinatawag nating ilustrados. Okay? If you are a Filipino that is born rich during this time and can allow your son or daughter to, actually mainly son son to go abroad to pursue higher education or higher specialization, then you're one of the lucky few, no, to take or have a formal education during this time. A BA po or Bachelor in Artes is or Bachelor of Arts actually is given in the 19th century, okay, by the Spaniards or the under the Spanish regime, pero ang focus po niya mainly is physics, chemistry, natural history, and math. Okay? And if you are someone who would like to pursue higher education, mainly ang focus ng po or pwede mong i-take is kung magka-college ka in pursuit of priesthood or clerical position in the colonial administration or sa administration established by the Spanish colony. Okay? Within the latter parts of the 19th century, that's the time when technical and vocational schools are established by the Spaniards. Another thing to take note of, class, is the reduction system or reduction system. Ano po ito? This is a strategy in which far-flung scattered barangays were grouped into fewer but larger ones and more compact towns within the area of church bells. 'Di ba? Hindi niyo napansin 'no, actually kung or kung nanood kayo na Maria Clara, ano ba 'yun? Ano ba 'yun? Yung Maria Clara at Ibarra ata 'yun, yung recent lang 'no na palabas nila Barbie Fortesa. Um, or if you're fond as well of studying Philippine history, there you're going to realize na, oo nga 'no, parang ang daming mga church bell sa Pilipinas. Ano yung mga church bell? Yun po yung mga old churches natin, 'di ba, lagi silang may bell tower na tinatawag or meron silang parang ba ang tawag dun, hindi ko alam kung kalembang or what. Pero yun nga, yung may bell, okay. What's the purpose of that? Actually, it's related with this reduction system, okay. Dahil nga scattered yung barangay natin, bago or yung community sa Pilipinas bago dumating yung mga Spaniards, what they did is they try to organize yung mga barangay, pagsama-samahin, okay, into areas where there are, kaya kung mapapansin natin 'no, karamihan ng mga malalaking community, they are what? They are actually, they have like bell towers or church bells 'no, as their centers. Kasi po ang purpose po nito is para nga ma-organize yung hiwa-hiwalay, pagsama-samahin po sila at mas maging compact, okay. And the idea here is that kumbaga yung isang lugar or yung isang grupo ng community, they are like one big community hangga't kaya silang sakupin nung ingay or nung tunog nung church bell na naka-assign sa kanila. Parang ganun, okay. Para mas mabilis ma-manage ng mga Spaniards yung mga Pilipino, okay. Dito rin po nauso 'no yung konsepto or establishment ng cabeza de barangay, okay. Actually, other term for cabeza de barangay is teniente del barrio in Spanish. So, they are the one that acts as the leader or the chief of the barangay. Okay? Na, again, inorganize along church bells. Okay? Sino po yung mga naging kabesa de barangay? Sila po yung mga first datu. Okay? Kasi, again, inano pa rin naman sila, inacknowledge pa rin naman po sila ng Spanish crown during this time or ng hari ng Spanya or ng Spain during this time, no? Na, kumbaga, mabigyan pa rin 'no, mabigyan pa ring acknowledgement yung mga nobility sa Pilipinas bago yung occupation nila in a way na they are the ones who can qualify to be cabeza de barangay or teniente del barrio during this time. Okay? Kasi nga po, again, meron na tayong leadership during this time eh. Bago pa ma-inherit or rather, bago pa tayo masakop ng mga Spaniards. That is again to also preserve the nobility or to retain the honor and privileges of our datus bago pa masubject sila sa Spanish crown kasi nga sinakop na tayo ng mga Spanish. And then, meron din tayong tinatawag na gobernadorcillo or kapitan municipal. Okay? Ito naman pong mga gobernadorcillo or kapitan municipal, they are also drawn from the ranks of the datus and they are the head of the town naman. So, yung isang town may isang church bell yan and the constituents of those town comes from the barangays that has been drawn or compacted, okay, and they are being governed by the gobernador silyo or kapitan municipal. Okay? And always remember po that only the members of the datus or their class, they are the only one that are eligible to be elected as gobernador silyo. Okay? Only select Filipinos had the opportunity to study in Europe po, no? Again, that is again in view of their family affluences kasi nga po kaya nila. Okay? Example po si Jose Rizal, he's able to specialize in ophthalmology in Spain and in Germany. Next na one, si Jose Alejandrino, siya naman, he was able to study engineering in Belgium kasi during this time, walang school or university sa Pilipinas yung nag-offer ng engineering. Okay? So, yung mga Pilipino o kaya yung mga Spaniards na nagse-settle po sa Pilipinas pero gustong mag-study ng engineering, they have to go to Europe. Okay? So, next naman si Graciano Apacible, siya naman po, he was able to study medicine in Madrid. And si Antonio Luna, ayan, kilalang kilala natin siya. Kung napanood nyo yung pelikulang General Luna, okay? Maliban sa isa siya sa mga fiercest military men of his time, he was able to specialize in pharmacy naman in Madrid. Okay? So, yun nga lang po talaga, no? If you are not born in an influential Filipino family during this time, you cannot specialize po abroad. Okay. Another thing that has been like take or we must take note of po during the Spanish occupation in the Philippines is the establishment of the Manila School of Agriculture. It is actually established in 1887, pero na-open lang po yan noong July 1889. And it is due to the royal decree. So, ibig sabihin, the establishment of this one comes straight from the Spain, no? From the royal crown of Spain itself. Okay? So, what's the purpose? It's actually a school that was designed to provide first theoretical and practical education po for skilled farmers and overseers so that ano po, they can promote agricultural development in the Philippines. In what way? By observation, experiment, and investigation. Okay? Actually, agricultural stations po were established during this time sa areas ng Isabela, Ilocos, Albay, Cebu, Iloilo, Leyte, and other parts of Mindanao. Okay? And the professors in this school po are agricultural engineers. And the government is the one that financed this particular school. Pero it appears still no that the direction of this particular school is still being handled by the priest during this time. So kahit meron pong mga agricultural engineers acting as the professors po, still they abide no. Parang yung mga school na ito still being governed by the priest. Okay? Class, you may think na, okay, so meron tayong agricultural school during this time. So most probably, we've developed, no, in the field of agriculture because of that. Actually, little development in the field of agriculture has been made in the Philippines during this time. Bakit? Actually, during the first 2 centuries of Spanish rule, little development has been made in the agricultural scene. Bakit? Kasi po, Spanish colonizers during this time heavily rely on their profits from the galleon or the Manila Acapulco trade, which lasted during 1565 to 1813. Okay. Hindi po natin masyadong nagamit or na-develop yung agriculture natin kasi we mainly focused on the galleon trade that lasted for since 15th century up until 18th century. Okay. Ano po bang meron dito sa galleon trade na to? Actually, Spaniards use a lot of our natural resources, okay, during this one. Okay. The galleon brought to Latin America Chinese goods. So, ang mainly nag-benefit dito is not the Filipinos, no, but instead the Spaniards and the Chinese. Okay? Yung mga Chinese goods po na kasamang na-trade dito are like yung silk and other clothes, porcelains, and all. Yan po ay itinitrade papuntang Amerika and back to Manila. Okay? And that also paved the way for the Mexican silver to reach us as well because of the trading. Okay? Manila's been known to be an entry pot during this time for the galleon trade. Pag sinabing entry pot class, that means port or city or other center. Okay? Basta, um, that is where goods are being brought, imported, and exported or collected for distribution. Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng entry pot. So, Manila has been known to be a great entry pot of the Orient during this time because of the galleon trade. Okay? Um, though, another thing po is that yung mga nagtitrade during this time, actually mainly Spanish lang po, no? Konting-konting Pilipino lang yung capable of doing trading during this time. Tapos, yung mga Chinese, they benefited in a way that they act as trade packers or middlemen, retailers. So, yung gawain nila ngayon, gawain pa rin naman nila. Even before, during the Spanish occupation. They are the one that provide skills and other services sa Spanish community, lalong-lalo na doon sa mga nagre-reside sa Intramuros. Okay? Because of the Spanish occupation and due to the Manila galleon trading, our agriculture and mining has been neglected, and this resulted into the decline of what? Native handicrafts and industries here in the Philippines. So, we are going or I'm going to proceed with the discussion of the American regime in the next video recording po. That would be all for the science and technology in the Philippines starting pre-colonial period up until the Spanish regime. Thank you very much for listening, class, and I'll see you on our next class po.